We're trying to get the animated background. Unfortunately, I don't know how much of this you guys are hearing, but unfortunately, the animated background was a no-go. So we're going retro with a 2D background of the same image. How is everybody doing today? I see Potato here late. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. 4 minutes late. Unprofessional here. So today we're just going to be talking about some JJK stuff. You know, JJK YouTuber in December 2024. You know how it'd be. And we're going to be talking about just in general some of the fumbles in the story, because I was working on a video for a Megumi's character arc and how it just kind of, you know, went absolutely nowhere. And it got me thinking, you know, why don't we talk about some of the other things that fumbled in this story? Excuse me. Quirked up Shinobi, always. Hey Quirkless, fashionably late. No animated background, sad. I'll try to get it up because I'm just running Wallpaper Engine, but it just doesn't want to go for some reason. We'll try again. Top one fumble is Toto not asking Sukuna his type. That is true. Let me get some music on for you guys. Or something. A quirkless classic in the atmosphere. What's up, Truck Kun? That is definitely true. So we're gonna try to get the animated background. Once that's over, let me just do this for 1 second, guys. We might pull on some other people. We might talk about some power scaling. You know how it is. Yeah, it just doesn't want to take these for some reason. Interesting. That's okay. Let's go get a big face of our supreme bum. Megumi Fushiguro. Let's take a look here. These are the same guys who spearhead the anti-Kenjaku agenda. They can't even tell the time. How could they tell me Kenjaku is weaker than Toji of all people? Power scaling? Oh, hell no. You know, you know me, lol HF. I'm not like the biggest power scaler. That's never been what this channel has been all about. I've always focused on the story more. And that's kind of what I want to make more videos on. I want to touch more on some of the things we know about the Heian era in like stuff like Yamato no Orochi. I don't know how many people are interested in that, but I am. And that's what I like talking about, because I feel my mind like slowly just turn off when I'm talking about character feats endlessly. Hold on, let's get a Megumi image up in here. 1 second, guys. We're digging through the ancient folder. Straight from the Heian era. Is this the proper bum one? God, this guy really went on to do nothing, huh? Here we go. Perfect, perfect. Oh, yes, this one's perfect. Excellent. Put that right there. The bum folder. Yeah, it is called the Megumi image folder, so that's pretty accurate. Yeah, I start to wonder. I think I have more goofy images of him than I have like legitimate ones. Everyone is interested in that. The Heian era stuff? I hope so. That's what I like. Toji can be stronger and faster than Kenny, but he can still be less equipped and versatile than him because he's Kenjaku and he's the evil Batman of JJK versus the evil Batman of JJK. Toji's pretty strong just because Toji has the OP kit. Like, Inverted Spear of Heaven is just busted, along with the Soul Liberation Blade or Split Soul Katana. Let's talk about anime physics instead. What happened to Megumi's spine thing, giant skeleton theory, open domain theory, all open domain substitute shell for structure theory? I have no idea what you're talking about, Plank. Oh, actually, I do remember what you're talking about. That was a vague thing that some people were mentioning for a while. But today, let's just talk about the generational fuck up that was these two bums. Now, I made a poll about this about a couple months ago, as to like whether or not Megumi had a terrible ending in JJK. And for the most part, I think Megumi probably got shafted the absolute hardest. I will be making a whole video on this, but you know, I want to get something out for the people before I upload. It was already half done. Cuck character. Megumi just got sidelined, that's it. It's not just that he got sidelined, it's that he learned absolutely nothing in the series. And like that's my issue with him, is that when we see Megumi initially, he's talking about how like, you know, oh, I have to live for my sister. My dad is dead, or my dad doesn't care about me at all. And then at the end of the series, he's just living for somebody else instead. Which I just don't think is very, very satisfying. Toji is not faster. He's at best only physically stronger, and that's literally it. I mean, you think Kenjaku is doing what Maki was able to do against Sukuna at that point? I don't think so. You think Kenjaku's dodging a roll slash? He lives only for his sister. Now he lives only for Yuji. Yeah, what happens when Yuji dies? Yo, this man still uploads? Let's go. Yeah, we do. We will. You know who dragged me back? It was Alon Z, Jaded, and Eternal Flame. And we all got together, and we started talking more about content again. Because the creators in the space, they want to make more JJK content. Jaded has been working overtime on his editing. You guys should, he's probably going to upload a video pretty soon. You should check it out. That's reaction hacks, not reaction speed. I mean, Maki's also just blatantly faster than Kenjaku. Kenjaku gets his ass. I mean, Kenjaku's just not as strong as you want him to be flank. The Kenjaku agenda is generational. But, you know, he ain't him. What do you think about the Yuji domain? Because that was the most confusing stuff yet. I thought the Yuji domain was kind of cool. Let's pull up an image of it. Kenjaku agenda is dead. Totally dead. It's been dead for a while. Man did nothing. Man got bodied by Takava. Which, like, that's not really an anti-feat. Kenjaku loses an arm, heals. Toji loses an arm, dies. Kenjaku's getting one shot by a Sukuna Black Flash. LaRue over Kenjaku. You heard it here. My issue is I'm not really into any of the current manga, so I'm dying for more JJK content. That's kind of how I feel, Adam. Where, like, I was going to move over to some new series. I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And I'll probably cover Kagurabachi, because I have been reading that. But as far as, like, JJK is concerned, I think JJK was just, like, one of the best series to come out in recent memory. And there's nothing that really hits for me as hard as JJK at the moment. As much as I'd like there to be. I think a lot of people feel the same way. Like, unfortunately, the ending left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Which is, you know, that's fair. The ending was not very good. And people reading the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen, like, as soon as the ending came out, people were pissed. And nobody really wants to watch content about a series that they're, like, blatantly upset about, unless it's shitting on it. And I think a lot of creators felt soured on the series, and they moved away for a bit. But I've been talking to some of them. I've been talking to a lot of them. A lot of people are still making power scaling content. A lot of people still want to make story content, and a lot of people still want to watch these things, like what-if theories. Like, I know Alonzi just uploaded a video yesterday, and I'll link it in chat, of what if can Yuji solo the Culling games. That was his what-if. Very good video, too. It's doing pretty well. Here, let me just post this in chat. You guys should check this video out, if you haven't already seen it. Wait, can I could react to it on stream, but I feel like if I should just send people there instead. Okay, again, what do you think about the Yuji domain stuff? Because that was the most confusing stuff yet. I mean, the Yuji domain was just, like, first of all, we got no name for it. It was pretty much just a giant, it was the forest that he killed Mahito in. Like, the whole idea was that Gege Akutame was trying to make... Sorry, this kind of Hi Kaio from Z. I'm not Kaio. I wish he was here. I haven't heard from him in a while. But as far as Yuji's domain is concerned, it was kind of cool. Like, it's pretty much just Malevolent Shrine. It's Benevolent Shrine. It's the same technique. I don't really like the whole, I guess, aesthetic of it. Hi, Jade. Everyone's got my name wrong now. I know I've been gone for too long, guys. I'm not Kaio. I'm sorry. Expected Sukuna to use a binding vow to summon Raga, only for Megumi to subconsciously possess Raga into fighting Sukuna once summoned. So this rabid, crazy animal, and then Yuji would talk no jutsu Megumi. I mean, like Megumi. It would be cool. I wish we got to see Mahoraga again, like a totality. Because I'll put a poll in chat here. But what do we think? Did you want to see totality Mahoraga fight Sukuna? Let's just put that out there. Like, I don't know if anyone's... That's pretty obvious, yes. Kaio went to another dimension. We'll never see him again. That's kind of what it feels like. I haven't heard from him at all. Yeah, Benevolent Shrine actually became a thing. Bro, you cooked the Toji agenda yourself last stream, and you didn't even try. You made better arguments than Jaded and just gave up for no reason. I gave up for a good reason, Plank. It's because I don't give a shit about Kenjaku or Toji that much. And I didn't really want to have... I've had feels bad moments in power scaling before that I'd rather capitulate than have people feel bad, to be honest. At least in a live stream. Kaio went south. Not knowing the name of the MC ultimate move is insane. Imagine not knowing the name of Ichigo's Bankai. Yeah, that was pretty stupid. That's probably the worst part of it, to be honest. Can I get this stupid wallpaper to work? No, I cannot. What a pain. Alright guys, sorry, we're stuck in 2D land today. I was hoping Sukuna would swap to Urame's body or something and we get Yuji or Megumi versus Refresh Sukuna. I know that Gege is a man because I didn't ask for Totality Mahoraga. I wanted the merger. I wanted Totality Mahoraga. And what's up, Jays? And what's up, Micah? Where's he? Yeah, I have to say, I've always been pretty amazed at this community here because of the fact that I didn't stream at one point for like 3 months and I come back and people are still here. Or some people were still channel members. That's crazy to me. You know, support is never expected, but it is very much appreciated. So thank you all. Even if it's just watching. Totality is dumb. Agito is boring. I liked Agito. Dude, 99% of 99.999% of everything gets boring when fighting serious Gojo. That is true. Gojo is him. Let's pull it. I have an Agito image here somewhere. Let's pull it up. Let's find it. Wherever it may be. I've been redoing all my folders and currently we're in like the ancient era of when everything was disorganized. Where is this? Alright, I give up. Agito was actually crazy. Agito probably washes 95% of JJK. I don't think I've actually directly scaled Agito, but the fact that it was able to keep up with Gojo at all and heal from Gojo Black Flashes is crazy. Kenjaku evaded blue, Toji didn't. And Kenjaku didn't even evade blue, though. He got interrupted by Sukuna. The blue got interrupted by Sukuna coming in. He was like partially resisting it, but Toji also like dodged out of like a point blank blue from a weaker Gojo. Well, I have the image here. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up for the Toji agenda. Just for Plank. Now, the name of this colored panel is Toji getting sucked. Now, why did I name it that? Don't worry about it. Now, is this your goat? Could your goat do this, Plank? Could he dodge out of a point blank blue suction? I don't think so. Toji got that anti-feat. Kenjaku doesn't. Yeah, Kenjaku died too early. Kenjaku died before he get his anti-feat. What's up, chat? What's up, Shiny? You guys should check out Shiny's channel if you haven't. He also makes content. Let me link that shit. Where's the split soul katana of Toji? I honestly forget. Kenjaku dodged bloodlusted blue. He did not dodge a blue. Sukuna literally comes in, and we see it. You know, I'll pull up. I'm just gonna pull up the panel this time, and because we didn't do this last time, because I had too much shit on screen. Like at best, you could say maybe he did, but like acting like any of it is guaranteed when you see Sukuna just pop in, like it's Sukuna comes in before it's even launched. I just think it's odd to say. Okay. One second. This wasn't going to be a power scaling stream, but here we are. The Kenjaku agenda goes crazy. Let's open the folder. And one moment. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call... Like, we see him move his finger to make the blue, and then Sukuna comes in immediately. And then if we get to the next chapter, the next page, the blue is going off. Where is it? Here we go. And the next page, the blue is going off. Kenjaku's kind of resisting it, and then it vanishes because they're fighting. Like, maybe you could say that Kenjaku resisted blue, but like this is definitely Sukuna coming in. Like the eyes are pretty obvious. Kenjaku dodged blue before Gojo and Sukuna even clashed. That's a speed feat. We don't even know exactly. Like I don't think that's true at all. Sukuna's coming in before the blue's even on screen. And Kenjaku looks up and they're clashing together. And we don't even know if like that other one was the first clash. Because like we just see Sukuna comes in, Gojo moves his finger, Kenjaku's like, oh shit, Sukuna comes in, there is a blue, Kenjaku is resisting the blue, and he looks up and he's like, oh, they're already like together. Or at least bouncing around. Like, I know that the next page you're thinking of, you're like, you're going to think, like, okay, that's the first time they clash, but we don't even know that for sure. Hold on, let's see what you donate here. And Yalga, thank you so much for the donation again, jeez. My custom OC solo is 98% of JJK. Give me a Discord, I'll DM you the deets. It's basically Binding Vow Overdrive, pure cheese hacks. Sukuna ain't got nothing on me. Corkless, he didn't just resist, he switched positions. He dodged blue completely. Agito couldn't, Toji couldn't, and go to the previous panel. Kenjaku stands on something different. Yeah, but before the blue's even off, Kenjaku could have moved because we don't know when he shot the blue versus when Kenjaku moved. Like, it's pure agenda to say Kenjaku dodged it. He didn't. Like, at least you can't say for sure. Because you have no idea when the... Because we see Sukuna coming in. Like, I mean, you're looking at the image right here. It's on screen. Like, where do you see a blue launched before Sukuna comes in? It's not even on screen yet. Where is this? Here, I'll get these off before I get nuked by Shueisha. But, like, extrapolating he just dodged it out of that is kind of crazy, if you ask me. but Sukuna beats 100%, so if Sukuna loses, she's going to beat Yorozu. Like, you know, I'll say the Kenjaku agenda being alive and well is nice to see. Obviously, Kenjaku would only jump when Gojo starts attacking him. I don't think that's true at all. I'd be jumping if I'd be twitching too if Gojo was there. We also know that Gojo has to control his balls. Okay, that was the wrong choice of words. But we know that Gojo has to control his blue balls. All right, it's not getting better. We know that Gojo has to control his laps blue. His blue laps. So Sukuna's interrupting him. Like, I mean, you're just not... I just don't see a Kenjaku dodging a fucking blue when Sukuna's involved. There's just no way you're going to get that out of that. Like, that's just wank. Kenjaku agenda just too strong. Because Sukuna's on screen before the blue is. Just nuts. I mean, I just don't agree at all. Then what's the thing above Kenjaku that's emitting light? There's nothing above Kenjaku before Sukuna comes in, emitting light. The blue could go off, but doesn't mean that Gojo was in like the perfect condition because he's dealing with Sukuna. He's dealing with Sukuna first. Emphasis on the heart. Sukuna doesn't even touch Gojo. How is he interrupting him? We don't know that. I mean, they show Sukuna come in first before the blue does. I'll bring it back on screen. Like, the blue goes off. Like, you see them up in the air, and we don't even know if that's the first time they hit. Like, I don't know why you would assume if we see the... Hold on. Like, we see Sukuna coming in before the blue is even on screen. And then Kenjaku looks up, and he's like, oh my god, they're above me. He doesn't even know what's happening. And then we see them clash, but we don't even know if that's the first time they ever clashed. Because Sukuna came in before the blue. But like, and then just to go and say that Kenjaku is faster than the... is fast enough to dodge a blue that might have gotten interrupted. Or at least gotten like shifted, or Gojo can't properly focus on. I don't agree with that at all. Kenny actually mothered the MC, so that's my goat. Skin on skin does not emit light. What? Let me read this here. Okay, my friend, that's conjecture. It's not conjecture. Sukuna's on screen before the blue is. That's the first time they hit. That's a reasonable assumption to make. Not at all. I don't agree with that at all. Because we see Sukuna come in before the blue. And the blue doesn't even, like, spawn on top of Kenjaku. And then he's like, what's going on? He looks up and he sees them. And, like, that's the last time I'm going to talk about this for this stream. Because I don't really care about the Kenjaku agenda that much. To go over this that much longer. Hold on. Toto should have asked Sukuna the famous question. You know, I say this is going to be a talking about Jujutsu Kaisen's greatest fumbles when instead of roasting Kenjaku. As it goes. That's how it be. Don't hate me, Plank. They're in the air. They'd only clash one time. And not when one of them can fly. I don't think that's true at all. Well, one of them has shown the ability to move his body on like little pockets of air to move up and down. Or at least move straight up. Or at least somewhat move in the air. And the other one can literally float. It doesn't spawn on top of him because he dodged. Yeah, he got to dodge because Sukuna came in and bailed him out. I know it's rough being Kenjaku. It's so mid. It must be rough being a Kenjaku fan and watching your guy get done dirty every time he shows up. Bro, that blue destroyed the thing Kenjaku was standing on originally. Okay. Kenjaku's still getting... I mean, he might be able to jump back a little bit. Because Sukuna gave him that time. Yeah, Kenjaku is a bum. Dude doesn't even have a real job. How do you think Toto would have responded to How do you think Sukuna would have responded to Toto's question? If I were to actually ask about like what type of woman Sukuna likes, it's probably someone who's like incredibly strong. Kenjaku is a wasted character. He is. He's also weaker than Toji. JJK's greatest fumble is a blessing in disguise for me to create infinite headcanons for my unanswered questions. Win-win for me. You know, Plank, I'm just joshing with you. I don't really care either way if Toji's over or below Kenjaku. I'm not that invested in that one. In Hyalga, again, Kenjaku equals fumble. To be honest, no merger having ass. I'm dead. Kenjaku should have gotten the merger for sure. Who's fighting for Kenny's rep in the chat? Nobara. Many people. Plank is always here. Plank is the legendary Jujutsu Kaisen content commenter. Forming a totality requires at least one to see Shiga. Let me catch up here. Kenjaku is a fumble, to be honest. Kenjaku is a fumble. He got wasted. You know, here, Plank, I'll give you your Kenjaku glaze. I do think that Kenjaku is stronger than people give him credit for, even though I know I just made fun of him. I don't necessarily agree he dodged a blue like perfectly there just because Sukuna interrupted, but overall, I don't think Kenjaku, like, I feel like people clown Kenjaku's speed all the time, but like the real issue for him is that he got jumped, he had to fight hacks, and then we never got to see him fight anybody. We never got to see like a real fight with him in Shinjuku. That was my personal problem with it. Regardless of Kenjaku, I think we can all agree that Hakari solos Sukuna. Of course, naturally. Hakari solos JJK. I actually personally think that the merger would be a country-sized domain expansion full of souls of everyone in Japan, and Sukuna and Yuji would have to fight over control of the domain. You know, let's pull up some banger panels for a second here. Pull up some bangers. Where are they? I know I have so many Kenjaku fans in my comment section and just in this chat all the time, and even in our Discord sometimes. But it does feel like the Kenjaku agenda, like if it was 2 years ago, it would have been, or a year ago, it would have been roaring. But these days, the soldiers they're missing. There's less of them. So I'm kind of curious, do we think that Sukuna invented the world's first bomb? Oh my god. Talk about a large image. 1 second. Oh, maybe I should have rescaled this. Interesting. Ahem. 1 second, guys. Professional we are not. This is a great coloring, by the way, by Boku no Color. Did Sukuna invent the world's first bomb in the Heian era? Because I was looking it up, and I'm like, the world's first bomb was like an iron powder bomb in like 12th century. If I'm correct, and this is Heian era. So like, this is not only like the first thermobaric bomb, it might be the first bomb ever. Nah, it must have been a Chinese sorcerer. Because I wanted to name a video eventually, like how Sukuna created the first bomb. Because I feel like that'd be a funny title. Man, all that Hakari search mini arc was a waste. The guy didn't do anything in the story other than having one good fight. Alright, to be fair, Truck Kun, you only had one good fight. In fact, you were like part of another fight. You ran over a curse spirit. Well, let's see what Flank has to say. Yeah. Hakari easily wins easily heals world cutting slash. No idea why I'm streaming. My laptop is cooked. My soldiers rage. Plank, this is why we keep you around. Because we know that you'll never let us slip on Kenjaku. You'll never let us downplay him. You'll always keep us in check. And you'll always try to bring up something even if we disagree. You know, I've never claimed to be right about everything. What I said that was funny. Didn't they invent gunpowder or something? They did invent gunpowder, but the first actual bomb was a... What was it? The first explosive device ever invented was like 12th century. It was like 1200 something. That's when black powder was made. Somewhere around there. Not black powder. I just found it the other day. I can't find it now. Point is, Sukuna probably made the world's first bomb. And can you imagine, like, that you are a, you're just like a sorcerer chilling, or you're a farmer in the Heian era, and you just see this guy open up like a thermobaric bomb in a 200-meter radius and just cook your entire wheat field? What do we count as a bomb? Well, I mean, it's the way Sukuna closes his domain and then just, like, detonates. I think that counts as a bomb. I mean, I would count that as a thermobaric bomb. I don't know if Sukuna actually knows the mechanics perfectly behind, like, what he's doing here. But I feel like he's got to know most of it, because, like, otherwise he wouldn't know to just, like, shut off his domain to anything but living creatures. Like, I don't know what the education of a Heian era sorcerer is, I'm going to be entirely honest. Okay, you know, I didn't live in, like, 1000 AD in Japan, but I feel like Sukuna probably didn't have a formal education. That's just my take. Wait, was it said how he can do the Fuga thingy? Well, the way he does the Fuga is it's basically he's igniting the air, or he's igniting the particles in the air, or like the dust he kicks up from his good old Malevolent Shrine. It's not like literally the air, but you know, like the little cursed energy particles inside of his domain. So it effectively works like a pressure cooker or a thermobaric bomb. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's pretty close. Bro made a nuke before bombs were a thing. No, a nuclear bomb would be horrifying. A nuclear bomb is still stronger, and I was actually thinking about this today, that there's something I like about the Heian era in particular, which is that the Heian era, like Jujutsu in the Heian era, produces things that we cannot replicate at that point in time. Like a Fuga domain, a hollow purple, these are things that just could not possibly exist in destructive force from like mankind's technology at that time, if you get what I'm saying. But these days, a nuclear bomb is better than Sukuna's domain, and it's also better than a hollow purple in destructive force. Like, you're not surviving a nuclear bomb. Like, if these guys are getting hurt by a Fuga, there is no fucking way they're surviving a cursed energy bomb, a nuclear bomb. Wait a minute, Yuta has Limitless now. He used Kenny. So a technique to get back in his body, meaning Limitless followed him without consuming Gojo. I don't think that's how it works, but either way, he doesn't have 6 eyes anymore, so he couldn't use it. I know like there's like a little panel that they talk about at one point where they're like, oh, he can use the 6 eyes to do his thingamajig. Yeah, that's, quote me, thingamajig. But he can use the 6 eyes to do his little 6 eyes in Limitless. I'm really brain farting here. Sorry, I'm reading this. Okay, so point is, you need the 6 eyes to use Limitless. I know it says at one point in the manga that it's like, oh, it's very hard to use, but that's a mistranslation. There are other sources that will tell you directly that he needs the 6 eyes, period. Like, maybe you could make, you know, you want supreme headcanon, maybe a 6 eyes and Limitless user could, like, binding vow away half their technique to, like, come up with a little, like, cardboard wall of Limitless, like a little Walmart version. But even then, you have to be exceptionally talented. But I don't see that happening. Like, maybe you could sort a giant object. To be honest, I don't think people really hate Kenjaku. I think they just wanted to see more and were disappointed. But there are those who are glad he didn't show more because it fuels their agenda. I think that is definitely true, Plank. Some people do just, like, straight up hate on Kenjaku. I mean, I've made fun of him because I don't like brains in a jar. But I don't really hate him in power scaling. I felt like he should have been way stronger than he was. Because he kind of got just removed. The limited technique. The incredibly limited technique. Thermobaric bomb, world slash. Let's be honest, he just chops his ingredients, pressure cooks them, and the Trishula acts as a fork. I wish we saw the Trishula or the Hiten. You know, on the note, you guys want to dive into some Buddhism for a second because this is the app Kaisen stream. I was talking to Jaded and I were talking about whether or not Toji's heavenly restriction is allows him to ignore soul attacks because they're like, oh, his body is so strong that he can overwhelm someone's entire soul. And my argument, I kind of agree that like that might be a possibility just because of how heavenly restriction works with like, oh, the soul is the body is the soul, and he has like the strongest physical body. Like his physical form without curse energy is the strongest you can possibly get in JJK. So maybe he could, or maybe he had like a resistance to that. But on the flip side of that, if we pull out the ancient panels of the soul, the body and soul, a lot of people don't realize in Buddhism doesn't really, just put up a little UG image. Buddhism doesn't really make a huge distinction between like your body and like your soul and your mind. And I think that's the main point they're talking about here when they bring up all of this stuff, in that like they talk about the body and soul because like this is kind of an argument in Buddhism. Like don't quote me on this because I'm not Buddhist and I'm not like, you have to actually ask a religious official. But in my limited research, this is something that is brought up quite a few times, that the body and mind and soul aren't. Oh, hold on. Gifted Jamaica Queen's gifting 10 Quirkle Shinobi memberships. Thank you so much. You've been here for a long time, Jamaica. I should really make you a moderator. I really should. Should make a lot of you moderators, to be honest. But thank you so much. Legendary support. Where do we rank Yuji strength-wise right now? Well, we did a top 5 ranking stream a couple days ago with Alonzi, Eternal Flame, and Jaded, and we put him at like number 5. I think Jaded has him a lot higher than I do. But I think like of the currently alive sorcerers, not in terms of overall, because I think Gojo and Sukuna are obviously top 2. I don't think that's even like a question for anybody. But below them, I would put him at like number 5 or 6. Because he's kind of keeping up, like at least physically, he is able to keep up with Yuta in his domain. And then he hits a Black Flash. And like after his Black Flash, he should be stronger. He has a technique. He should be bodying a lot of people, in my opinion. Yuji is probably 10 to 9. Interesting. I'm curious to see what your top 10 would be, Grape. I'm assuming you're including Gojo and Sukuna in that, because I can kind of see it. In that case, only real ones in the chat. Yeah, but on the note, I got distracted because Jamaica blew my mind. On the note of Buddhism, oh my god, lol HF gifting 10 Coracle Shinobi memberships. Thank you very much. I feel like, guys, you guys are like, honestly, you blow my mind. I don't know what to say. I feel disingenuous. Everyone's going to be a fucking member at this point. Thank you very much. You too. You have also been here for a very long time. Because I was looking back at my old live streams and I see you guys all the time. Not that I would ever forget anyone's names. Because I'm not that kind of person. Miguel bodies Toji. I just find that in here. But thank you very much. Okay, I'll try to get through this thought, because like now I'm a little bit in shock. How does this membership sidestep you? It's because you're a Kenjaku fan. It knows. It automatically, like, you know how like the infinity sorts? It's automatically sorting you. But yeah, seriously. Thank you guys. Thank both of you. And thank everybody here for watching as well. Alright, let me try to get my brain together for this. So, in Buddhism, the body and soul, there's not like a direct distinction between the mind and the body. So that's why they bring it up in Jujutsu Kaisen a lot, because Gege Akatame, I don't know if he's actually Buddhist. I don't know if he's Hindu. But JJK in general loves bringing up Hinduism and Buddhism all the time. And they usually like composite them. And what I mean by that is that they do not, like, none of the references are one-to-one. They love bringing up like mixtures of both, and let's bring up Mahoraga because he's one of my favorite examples ever of this. Is that, do you guys remember in season 2 when Mahoraga showed up and they were like, Mahoraga is such a, they called him Makara. Remember that? When they called this boy Makara and everyone's like, actually it's Mahoraga. Well, today we're gonna actually because it's both. And Makara is just the name of the Yaksha, the Buddhist Yaksha, which is like a divine general that he's based on. And Mahoragas are just a giant snake monster in Hinduism. So you see how he has like a big snake tail on the back of his neck, and he also has a Dharma wheel, and he's also has the they call him the Divergent Sila Divine General. I made a video on this a long time ago. But the reason they call him the Divergent Sila Divine General Mahoraga is because usually the Yakshas, or Makara in this case, they're like Buddhist deities of healing and such. So he is the Divergent Sila Divine General. I forget exactly what Sila means. I knew the term about a year ago. I swear to God. But he's divergent in the sense that he punches you right in your face. So that's not very peaceful to me. If you ask old Quirkless. Wait, Quirkless asked for your top 10 strongest. Let's see. Gojo, Sukuna, Kenjaku, Yorozu, Yuki, Yuta, Hakari, Urame, Yuji, and Miguel. You put Hakari over Yuji? I don't know if I agree with that. Hakari's like featless. Hakari and Urame. Urame has like the AoE, and that's about it. She has more statements than actual feats, in my opinion. Yorozu. I like the Yorozu placement, though. I think Yorozu's crazy. She's way underrated. Yeah, Hakari over Yuji is a choice. I wish. I wish Hakari was that strong. W list, no Toji, good. That bum is not even top 15 Jogo victim, Sendai Yuta victim. Can't stall Gojo for more than 10 minutes. Miguel's prison wife. Holy shit, blank. The neurodivergent Sila General. Yeah. Okay, where was I on this? On spitting about Buddhism. Yeah, he's got a big snake tail. So that's supposed to represent the giant Nagas that they have in Hinduism. At least that's what I think. That's what a few other people think. And then they have him doing his divergent general thing, which is punching you in the face. I mean, I kind of like the idea of having these like these legendary deities fighting, and like they have a more, maybe like a slightly more mundane stance in the actual world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, same thing with Yamato no Orochi. You guys remember Yamato no Orochi? That, like, got glazed to hell and back for, like, one panel by Sukuna? Any Snake fans in the chat? Hakari has a hot alternative GF, so that's cool. That's true, he does. In Hinduism? Grape the Goat, I can always get behind a Hakari Glazer. A man's scope never dies. Yeah, people use Yorozu losing to 15-16 finger Maguna against her. Like, really? Yeah, she is... Yorozu's strong. Now, I'm going off topic here, as I often do. because I like to get distracted because my brain works in mysterious ways. And good old Yorozu, where is she? Because you guys bring up too many interesting conversations. I can't handle it. Yorozu, bug girl. Put her. She's pretty strong. Now, whether or not you think Yorozu would be able to land the same hits on Sukuna had he not been trying to adapt, that's a matter for debate. I think that's where most of the questions around her come from. But True Sphere is OP. That's OP. Oh, what's the greatest fumble? That's an excellent question. And a great question, because that's the title of the stream. I should really... Let me pull out my good old Google document, so I make sure I don't get too distracted, and actually write down things I have to come back to here. Ahem. One moment. Okay. Things to talk about. Divine General. Greatest fumbles. So, on the note of the greatest we'll get to greatest fumble here first. Personally, for me, the greatest fumble of Jujutsu Kaisen... Well, actually, I'll put it into two parts. There's the Ultimate Battle Edition, the Ultimate Battle of Ultimate Destiny, the Gojo versus Sukuna. I feel like this fight kind of fumbled for me. Maybe that's a hot take. Maybe you don't agree, and that's fine. I wanted to see Hei and Ero Sukuna fight our boy, our blue boy, our 6 Eyes Limitless user. That's what I wanted to see. I don't care if he gets bodied. I don't care if Gojo is like 10 times stronger than him in someone's mind. And I don't care if he loses in hand-to-hand. I wanted to see it. Because having to fight Meguna is just not the coolest thing on earth to me. Right here. I just don't like Meguna. Maybe that's a hot take. I just think Maguna's kind of lame. Like, even compared to... Like, look at this. Oh, God. Man, these are all... Sorry, these things are way too big for the stream. We're in 1080p here. Yeah, Mahoraga. Like, this is not Aura. This is the opposite. Agreed. Yeah, yes, you see, Shiny... We talked about this a little bit. I feel like we did in Discord earlier. Or at least yesterday. Like, without... I just wanted to see I just want to see Hei and Ero Sukuna fight Gojo. Like, that's what we got set up. Though, I will say, this panel is really cool. Like, when they say Satoru Gojo's voltage ramps up, that is one of the coolest panels in Jujutsu Kaisen. And I really hope when the anime comes out, we get to hear, like, the Hollow Purple theme during this. Agreed. Yeah, it seems most people. Yeah, Sukuna and Megumi's body, Yorozu and Sumiki's body, barf. Yeah, it's pretty lame. Meguna doesn't even roll nice off the tongue. Yeah, he's just lame. He is... You know what? Let's go even further, guys. I'm just going to put in a poll in chat. Is Meguna the lamest version of Sukuna? Because I think it's almost going to be unanimously yes. Yorozu would be able to. Sukuna merely needs to interact with the substance to adapt. Sometimes he did get hit to purposely adapt, but he gets blitzed when trying to block with dogs. That is true. You did bring this up in the other stream plank, that she is kind of keeping up to him in base. I was also, on the note of Meguna, since we're running a poll on this now, I think Meguna doesn't even look like Megumi. Like, when I look at this guy, if you take off the tattoos, it looks like an entirely different facial structure. It doesn't look like a Megumi at all. Though this is a cold panel when he gets bodied, when he's about to win. Or Gojo is, ramping up. Probably the best panel in the series for me. Or one of. Definitely the most bitch made. Mahoraga hell. He was cooler as Yuji. Yeah, Yuji Kuna had aura. Meguna just like... Maybe it's because he was stuck next to 6'2", 6'3" Gojo. the entire time, and like Megumi is like 5'8". Not hype. Not very hype. What do you think you will be doing in the future with this channel? We're still going to be uploading JJK content. I'm working on a Megumi video right now, or at least I was today. I want to just get something out for you guys, because you guys have been very patient, especially channel members, especially since now we have a bunch of new channel members. I was taking a break. I talked about this a little bit in a stream a while back. Towards the end of JJK, my dad was sick. I was stressed. I stopped making content. That's my fault, you know, and that's just how it is sometimes. But we're back. I got pulled back in. I will be making more content, and I will be trying to make some content on Kagurabachi once I'm done reading it, if you're interested in that series. But I know a lot of you still like JJK, and that's what I'll be covering here, for the most part. Especially when Season 3 comes out. Didn't Fortnite spoil Maguna? I have no idea. Maybe. Yuji Kuno is the definition of aura. True. Sukuna gave Megumi a jawline. Not trying to be a Gojo glazier, but I feel like relying on Mahoraga will always take away from Sukuna's stocks for me. It's just a lame way to win. And I also think... I know people say, like, oh, it's strategic genius in Sukuna's case, and I agree, like, it is a smart plan. But the way the plan has to work, which is, okay, I will get punched in face, and I will adapt. I don't think that's very fun to watch or read. That's just me. How do you like Kagurabachi so far? Well, we're like 2 chapters in, so it's pretty good. Like, I mean, I can't really have like a formulated opinion, but I've heard good things. Alon Z has been reading it. He told me it's very good, and I usually trust his opinion on series because we have a lot of similar interests, so I've been picking it up. But I'll let you know, Sterling. I'll probably make a video on it. Hey, take your time, man. Family first. Thank you, Jamaica. I appreciate that. It's not a lame way to win. It's the hardest way to win. Makes sense. Sukuna wants the challenge. I think it was like maybe a lame way to win is the wrong way to put it. I just don't think it's very fun to watch him get punched in the face over and over and like have a wheel adapt. Would you prefer he runs like Floyd Mayweather or Askin Lamar? I know who Floyd Mayweather is. I don't know who Askin is. I'm not very huge into combat sports. If Gojo jumps Sukuna Glaciers would be crying. I mean, even if Gojo still wins the hand-to-hand fight with a forearm Sukuna, it'd probably look cooler. Because he'd be like ducking and weaving forearms. Also, I just think having the imposing form, like we can blatantly say forearm Sukuna is more imposing. So even if he loses, it looks cooler. At least to me. I think about the ending of JJK, and I think about the Gojo / Sukuna Pookie fight, and I think about Gege, and I wake up with fresh new hatred. Yeah, that's definitely a way to put it, Nyaga. But I didn't hate the ending. I mean, it was definitely closer to bad than good. I should say, it's closer to bad than mediocre. Like, I think we're being really nice if we say that JJK's ending was mediocre. So that's a very, very kind way to put it. Also, forearm Sukuna has nicer feet. True. They did draw a lot of his feet. I don't know what that was about. Megumi is standard anime pretty boy, and Maguna is ugly, and that should be impossible. It's the tattoos. They gave him, like, it's like, Dad, I'll be back. But, like, you go on spring break, you come back, and your parents ask you, why the fuck did you get that tattoo? And that's Maguna. Not that Megumi has parents. I hate that I didn't get to see Megumi's domain expansion. That's true. Gege can't draw feet. Dude should just give up. What was that Mei stuff anyway? Hold on. Well, chill on Mei. Oh, actually, wait. Don't chill on Mei. That shit was fucked. You're right. Your memory unlocked. Never mind. Continue. Let's move this over here. Let me just properly position these images. My OCD is kicking in. Let's get Yorozu out of here. I promise next stream there will be an animated background. JJK is the definition of wasted potential. Like, where's the merger? The merger is just a thing in the story that's there but never happens. The merger was definitely a plot line I hope to see. I really thought there was going to be something there. And, you know, if you go back and you look at some of my old videos, I flipped back and forth on this because I was like, okay, well, they all have to die for the merger to go off. But as time went on, as I looked more and more into the series, I really thought the merger was going to have some payoff. Or maybe Kenjaku was going to do something brand new and like, oh, I've been lying to you. Here's my true plan with all this cursed energy. But instead, he just got his head chopped off and stabbed in the forehead. And I don't know if that was... I don't consider that particularly epic. Kenjaku was just foreshadowing for the series' abrupt end. And that's the best way I could put it, is that JJK, some of the plot points were okay at the end, or dare I say good. Like, I like Sukuna's ending. I do think it fits his character pretty well. It just feels like we miss a portion of his character arc. Or just an arc of the story in general. Gege made Gojo do so well against Megumi. Most people can't see him lose to any Sukuna version, no matter how strong Gege can say he is. Yeah, I do agree that like the showcase of how outclassed and hand to hand Megumi was with Gojo, even if he had to adapt, it just makes Sukuna look bad, or at least like takes away from aura. And a lot of people go based on how they feel on these things, and even if he does still outstat. Because there is a statement that Gojo is the best hand-to-hand combatant, and like the only person who's like even close to like what Geto and Kenjaku. Don't quote me on that last part. It's been a while since I read it, but I do know that Gojo is still supposed to be like superior in hand-to-hand. Just particularly with Blue, at least from the statement. Okay, let me get here. Sorry guys, I'm gonna grab some water in a second here, so I can read these properly. So Truck Hunt says, while I can understand the idea that the merger was just a time bomb to move the plot, what pissed me off is that we just don't know what the merger is or was going to be. And I think that's a perfect example of how to not use a time bomb plot line. Especially if you're going to have a time bomb in the story, don't have something where all the characters are hyping up like a major event. You know, it's worse than a bomb, because with a bomb, you know, it just blows everybody up. But the merger was going to actually produce a creature. It was going to produce something we had never seen. And Kenjaku, the guy who knows everything about Jujutsu, he sits there and tells everybody, like, oh guys, this thing's going to be crazy, trust. And then nothing happens. So that does suck. Can't blame Kenjaku. Gege just tossed him aside. Dude also wanked Sukuna off for too long and forgot to tie up the plot points. Yeah, Sukuna did just constantly, towards the end of the series, be like, oh, did you guys know that I'm him? Oh, did you guys know that I can do this? And pulls out some new binding bow. That I can definitely see the frustration with a lot of people with that. Nah, that Gege statement didn't include Sukuna. He was given a list of characters, and Gojo was the strongest in that list. But the list didn't have Sukuna. I'd have to see. I'd have to look more into it. I have the whole fan book. I'd have to read that too before I can say I can 100% confirm or deny. Who would win if Gojo had a barrierless domain versus Heian era Sukuna? I mean, I think definitely Gojo. Maybe that's a crazy take to some people, but like it would have to be Gojo, in my opinion. Like, you can't even break his domain properly at that point. Maybe, like, Sukuna could, but he couldn't even get past the barrier easily. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that Gojo never got a barrierless domain. It's because he probably would have won. All this being said, Gojo versus Sukuna is going to go crazy in the anime. I hope so. I hope there's more hand-to-hand stuff. Like, it needs more hands. I say that about a lot of stuff, but I just want to see more people get punched. I'm a simple man. Who had a more disappointing return, Nobara or Naoya? Definitely Naoya, because he was never interesting. And Tiberius. Oh, sorry, Tiberius. You've been here for a while. What's up, man? I saw your name earlier. It just didn't register in my brain. That's my fault. Well, the Culling Games players had to die before the merger could start. I never looked at it as a time bomb. Sukuna was the impending threat before them. I agree. I more so mean that there was going to be some big plan with Kenjaku. Like, that's how it was set up. That, like, Kenjaku was going to be pulling the plug on something, and it was going to go off in a different way. Who would win if Sukuna had the 6 eyes? I mean, how does the 6 eyes actually benefit him with his technique, I wonder? That's a good question. I mean, he has the 6 eyes with his 4 eyes. That'd be kind of funny. On the flip side of things, because I was thinking about talking about this for a while, like, what if Sukuna had, like, what if Gojo had 10 shadows, but I don't really know how Gojo is going to do better with 10 shadows than Sukuna did, because Sukuna kind of has, like, the cheat code, where Maharaga's adaptation... Oh boy, I'm about to glaze Mahoraga here pretty hard. Just get ready. But Mahoraga's adaptation, you benefit from it dramatically if you are capable of taking a look at what he's doing and you're like, hey, I can do that too. And that's what Sukuna did. So, like, inevitably, if you're fighting with Mahoraga and you have a skill set like Sukuna where you can copy what you see, you're going to find all new variations of your technique all the time, every single fight. Especially if you do what he's doing where he's waiting for it. But on the note of Mahoraga, Mahoraga's adaptation is so busted that, like, I feel like people kind of gloss over this. And let's pull up the bad boy himself, the king, the divine general. Where is he? I only have 1 page here. That doesn't seem right. Well, let's just pull up the thick pick. Put him over here. Mahoraga will incorporate anything he sees into his next adaptation. And what I mean by that is once he's adapted to something like Dismantle, Sukuna didn't hit Mahoraga again with Dismantle in that fight. Like, it was already adapted to Dismantle, so if he adapts to something and he's like, hey, this would be pretty good to murder this new guy, he'll use that. And then the same thing would have probably happened eventually with Infinity, where, alright, I've adapted to Infinity, and then he's fighting a new guy, and he adapts further, and he's like, oh, Infinity would be a great tool to stop this attack. Like, Mahoraga with Infinity could have been a thing, had he kept adapting. Like, I think that's in line with what happened with Dismantle. It may be because Sukuna was his master, but it just seems like once Mahoraga adapts, he just keeps going, and he takes every adaptation into consideration and just uses it in the next fight. I think that's really cool. Who are your top 5 favorite characters? Yuji Itadori, Nanami, Satoru Gojo, Ryomen Sukuna, and what's another one? What's the last one? That's hard. I don't like Yuta in my top 5. He's definitely in my top 10. Probably Kusakabe. I really like Gojo and Sukuna. I just think they're very different. They're very different characters, but I like both of them. I know a lot of people clown on Sukuna, but I think his character arc was pretty good. It's a very subtle thing, for the most part, until like the end. Altering his CE properties is actually crazy as well. Yeah, Mahoraga pretty much made himself an inverted Spear of Heaven purely to take down Infinity. Okay, maybe that's a little bit of wank, because like he wasn't literally just deactivating a technique entirely, or like the whole of Limitless, but still. Hey, miss you, my dude. Hey, what's up, Holified Tenses on Getsu? It's been a while, man. And what's up, Wendy? It's been a while seeing you too, and Supercam. A lot of people I've seen. A lot of regulars here. We will be streaming more, so expect more JJK talk, and we have been learning better editing. Not for my next video, though, because I want to get something out for you guys. But I want to make something pretty good for people, or at least put some extra effort into something. It's been a while. Kusakabe really moved up my list of faves towards the end. Yeah, me too. especially after his fight. I just reread that the other day. What do you think about death of the author? That's an interesting thing to bring up, Plank, because I was just doing the dishes the other day and thinking about this. That death of the author, you know, if we bring up the actual, for those of you who don't know, the death of the author is a literary theory that argues that the meaning of a text is not determined by the author's intention, but rather by the reader's interpretation. And this theory was first introduced by French philosopher Roland Barthes, yada yada yada. This is a Wikipedia thing, but for those of you who don't know, that's what death of the author is. I agree. I agree that like reader interpretation does matter a lot. Especially, it definitely matters for your enjoyment of a series, because I don't know if this is exactly relevant to death of the author itself, but for me, I get a personal enjoyment out of some series that like might be objectively trash. Like if I were to go and go like 1, 2, 3, does the series suck? Yes. The answer is yes. I still enjoy it because I'm getting something emotional out of it other people might not be getting. That's for me. Hold on, sorry, I'm a little distracted here reading this. Let's see. Also good to see you, Quirkless. Yeah, man. I know it's been a minute, Windy. Higuruma the goat. Oh yeah, Higuruma's in my top 5. What am I stupid? Yes. But not hopefully not about that. Yeah, Higuruma definitely top 5. I put him over Sukuna for sure. At least in my enjoyment. Of course the French say that. Hey, I hate on French people. Actually, I don't ever hear anybody talk well, like, say anything good about France. It's always hate. The death of the author doesn't make sense to me, as every reader has their own interpretation, and the truth of the series is based on the belief of the majority, not the intention of the author. Kind of. I see what you're saying. Usually, I don't really worry about, like, okay, let's put this into anime terms, like power scaling versus a narrative argument, because I get into arguments with power scalers about this, or like really die hard, because some of the other content creators, I love all the JJK content creators, but some of us take power scaling more mathematically than others. Like some people are like narrative arguments, some people want to see how an ability is presented versus how the actual numbers are run. But I'd say when it comes to your interpretation, I don't really care about my personal interpretation of something if I'm making a power scaling video for people, because I know that a lot of people, they just want numbers. They want the feats, and that's what matters to people. And in that sense, it doesn't really matter to me if my interpretation of a narrative is different. Though if I'm trying to like say like who do I think the author is intending to be stronger than somebody else, that's when I'll start looking more so at a narrative argument. If that makes any sense what I'm saying here, because I am a little scatterbrained trying to sort through this folder right now. There is no inherent truth of any series, that's the whole point. Yeah, I can agree. At least there's no truth. Well, there's a truth of like what an author intends, or like what an author wants. Like the author tells me. Let's give an example like George Lucas. If George Lucas says that Mace Windu beat Sidious, I think Mace Windu beat Sidious, even if like the actual work doesn't represent it properly. Like I usually give the word of the author top priority. But if I'm power scaling for the internet, like I said, feats are king, because that's what people want to see, and that's what people are willing to accept. You know, it's the same thing in like a gaming community, where a community can accept something as like proper evidence, and it's usually like an agreed upon thing. Hold on here. Hey bro, long time no see. What's up, Pump Post? Thoughts on Dan to Dan? I have not read it. I've actually been looking into it a little bit though today, as a matter of fact. I disagree, to be honest. I don't think it's relevant. And that's fine, Dova. We don't have to see eye to eye on that. I've seen a lot of people who agree with your take that like the author's intent is completely irrelevant to like what's shown on screen, and especially in things like power scaling. And that's what I'm going to primarily compare it to, because I'm an anime. This is an anime channel, and people power scale all the time, so that's just what I'm used to talking about. The person who created the death of the author must have been the first person told to cope and seethe. Probably. In French, no less. I gave an example of death of the author. Scroll up. Oh, thank you very much, Yolga. Jeez, let me see here. Is there an easier way to see this? Oh, there was a comic where Flash saves 2 million people from a city where a nuke was already exploding, so the fission already was spewing out, and found them all and moved them not just outside the blast. Is that the one you're talking about here? But W in the chat for Nyalga. Actually, legendary supporter. Gojo could make a blue that moves dimensions, or infinite that has infinite dimensional level barriers. A blue or red or purple surpasses infinity. I think that's the one you were talking about, the other one. I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to read, but like there's a lot of stuff in chat here. I see what you're saying, though. And, you know, if you're somebody who thinks author intent doesn't matter at all, that's fine. I'm not disagreeing. I think you're totally justified in thinking that, especially if you are trying to power scale, or if you're trying to find, like, a guaranteed answer for something. Yeah, but it was 2 comments back to back. Look under it. I don't see... Do I see the second one? Hold on, I gotta get you donated to £2. I'm gonna say it's £2 because I can't read currency properly. If you go to the Bearer's domain, am I actually blind? Maybe. Let me put on my glasses. My blue light glasses. You know, fun fact, guys. If you guys happen to get brain rot from staring at a computer screen all day, like somebody else, like me, perhaps, try out blue light glasses, because they will actually work. They will change your life. And this is not a plug. This is not a plug. Like, honest to God, I bought blue light glasses when I used to make, like, mods for games, and they changed my life. Brain rot vanishes overnight. If Gojo had a barrierless domain, merger Kenjaku, I'm not seeing it in Yoga. I must be blind. Gojo could make a blue that moves dimensions, or infinite that has infinite dimensional level barriers. A blue or a red or a purple that surpasses infinity. I am actually blind. I can't find it. You can post it again, though, and I'll read it. Oh, here you did it again. There was a comic where Flash saves 2 million people from a city where a nuke was already exploding, so the fission already was spewing out, and found them all and moved them not just outside the blast. Yeah, I read this. I agree that, like, you could take that as a death of the author. I'm not sure of the exact intent. What you're saying there is, though, to be honest. And now I'm rambling here. 1 second. After I saw Beware's video on Sonic vs. DBZ villains, power scaling got more complex. You know, I was talking to Ty Learned. Does anybody watch Ty Learned in here? He's actually a pretty funny creator. And he makes some DBZ power scaling. Bro. There's a comment after. Well, you are blind. I don't see the comment after. I might, like, legitimately... So I see there was a comic where Flash saves 2 million people from a city where a nuke was already exploding, so the fission already was spewing out, and found them all and moved them not just outside the blast, and there's nothing under it. I swear to God it's not me. Blue light glasses won't help my brain rot. I was on 2012 Tumblr. That's rough. I'm sorry, Micah. Yeah, in Yolga, I'm sorry. I don't see it under there. It might be auto-sorted. If there's, like, a banned word, like, sometimes YouTube will automatically ban a word. But I only see the 1 paragraph here. I wish I could screenshot it. Yeah, I'm tripping out. I feel like I'm being gaslit. YouTube is gaslighting. Yeah, I was trying to read it, but, like, there's nothing there. And I don't want to be rude and be like, I don't get it, and just move on. But, like, I don't see anything. It's just the 1 paragraph. But here, I'll finish it. The radiation zone. Author said it was not FTL. Death of the author exists because no one is immune to cap. That's true. I get the idea of what you're saying here now. That, like, just because the author, like, the events in the story can take precedence over what an author says. If it doesn't make any sense within the universe. Sorry it took me so long to get that in Yoga. But, like, YouTube is actually gaslighting me. I swear, I wish I could screen cap it, because I just look like a crazy person. The speed of light is different in DC and Yoga. Is it? I don't power scale DC at all. Does JJK have a better ship than Gojo and Geto? I mean, I always liked Urahime and Gojo. It's explicitly stated that speed of light is faster in DC. See, I don't power scale DC at all. Besides, like, the occasional watching Flash body somebody. So I don't know for sure, and I'm not going to comment on things I don't feel confident in my knowledge base of. Or at least I try not to. Because I'm willing to say when I don't know. But 1 second, guys. I'm going to grab some water because my throat is getting dry. I got to read this. Okay, let's see here. Yuki X Choso. True. That's real and true. Water. Yeah, my boy, I'm back with water. We can go for another hour now. Shipping is fucking weird. Bro, your name is Holofy Tensa Zangetsu. Bleach has way more shipping than JJK does. You ever watch The Endless? I don't think so. Oh, actually, yes. A long time ago. I remember basically nothing about this. Nah, Yuki gives older sister vibes. Does JJK even really acknowledge shipping? Nah, not really. I think the closest it ever did was, like, Nobara and Yuji at one point. Like, when the one girl came up to him. In, like, what a lot of people consider a filler scene. What's Ichigo's power? Ichigo's power is being a hollow. We heard it here, guys. All of Bleach spoiled. Shipping is a huge part of fandom. Like, for better or worse, shipping is why certain fandoms are getting massive. Seeing My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia's shipping was, like, truly degenerate at times, okay? Like, I want to mention some of the shit I've read on Twitter about that series. I've never personally cared at all about shipping for any series. Takaba and his nurse. Alright, Plank, that's enough out of you. This is like Kenjaku glazing. Like, this is like fourth dimensional. Fourth dimension. Fifth dimension. Fifth dimensional Kenjaku glazing. It's quite it's high effort. It's respectable, but also alarming. You're trying to get Kenjaku in the top spot. We don't talk about My Hero Academia. No, we don't. At least not as shipping fandom. Aizen and Chair-sama. Now that's the top 10. Okay. On the note, I am moving the conversation away from shipping. because I demand. We are going to talk about some of the greatest fumbles in JJK, as the title says. Now, I know the Quirkless Shinobi streams are well known for going heavily off rails and occasionally over-divulging into my personal life, but that's not the point. Today, we're staying on topic, and I will talk about the greatest fumble of all, in my opinion. Well, maybe not the greatest fumble, but one of the greatest fumbles. Did you guys like Nobara's return last minute? Let's talk about the resonance. Was Nobara's return satisfying? Oh yeah, I forgot that was the point of the stream. It's okay, I usually also forget. Biggest fumble, Megumi's complete domain. Okay, we'll get to that one next. Yeah, Nobara for me, I think this might be like the dumbest way to kill Sukuna at the end. That's just me. I would have rather him just get shot with a gun. Sukuna not winning was a fumble. Of course you'd say that, Zavek. I've seen you in my comment section. I know how much you like that, man. Nobara should have stayed 6 feet deep. That's a crazy take. That's brutal. Actually true, though. She should have stayed dead. No Heian era flashback. That might actually be the greatest fumble. We kind of got one with Yorozu. Post Maki versus Naoya was like fumble after fumble after fumble. You know, sometimes you trip down the staircase, you just keep going. It's a long one, you know. Like, what's the world's largest staircase? Let's find out. World's longest staircase. The world's longest staircase is in Switzerland with 11,674 steps. Okay, so it's like falling down that. I don't know how long that would take, but it sounds like it would take a while and be very painful. As a Nobara fan, this was the ultimate disrespect. Because they brought her back, or because we're saying it was bad? The anime has to omit that Mach 3 statement. Oh, watch it double down. It's gonna double down, man. Nobara's return felt more like it had to be done for the plot, just as Yuji was about to lose. It felt like they were trying to have a trifecta, like a Yuji casts Punch, Megumi casts Puddle, and then she comes in and casts Hammer. But instead, it just felt like she came out of nowhere. It was very lame, if you ask me. The return moment was alright, just how there wasn't a proper build-up that sucked. I think that's like the real killer, is that they didn't really mention Nobara at all for like 100+ chapters. Like, she was gone about as long as Gojo was. Longer, actually. Sukuna and Yuji, Eye of the Storm going unexplained is a fumble. I can kind of agree with that, because I definitely like talking about that an awful lot. Let's go back in time, everyone, to a time period when Kenjaku was still relevant. Ahem. In the grand day of chapter 200-something. One moment, we're buffering. Consider this all part of the timeline. Ahem. This is not the chapter. Alright, this is Yuki getting blown up. Good times, good times. Ah, yes, the military chapter. Okay. So, when he's talking to Choso, Kenjaku's like, Sukuna and Yuji will be the eye of the storm for a cycle of curses that will never end once I actually find the page. Have faith. And nothing comes out of it. Or, like, maybe you'll find a very niche Reddit post about it for someone. Because, like, there's always, like, a gay sucker offer. Yeah. Is that the proper term? The gay sucker offer? There's always a gay apologist. That's the proper word. That will just be like, actually, it was ingenious, and it was answered for you in, like, the most simplistic way possible. But like this is the one for me that was like, it felt like it was setting up something bigger. Here it is. I found it. I put effort into this one. I went digging. Let's get it on. Let's get it on the stream. Hold on. We got the folder opened up. Right here. Okay. So right here we have a good old. Let me just crop this. So as long as that thing continues to coexist with Sukuna, the cycle of curses will never end. He will become the Eye of the Storm for the new era. Well, that new era definitely didn't fucking happen. And I could say that was moderately disappointing. At least for me. Because this definitely sounds like there's like some big event that's going to happen at the end of the series. It just never happened. And it's like, it's the little tidbits like this that I think really piss people off at the end and left a sour taste in their mouth on the whole series. Because Gege Akutame was really good at hyping things up and then under-delivering. He even calls Yuji that thing. Yeah, and then we find out it's just like he's part of his brother, or like he's his nephew. It doesn't really make a lot of sense in the context. JJK was better when Kenjaku was the secondary boss plus merger and he had 5 supporting characters to beat, and Gojo vs Sukuna was going to result in a post-apocalypse. Yeah, I was hoping it would. Like, it really seemed like we had a whole arc getting set up. Okay, let's see. Has a Megu Bum been talked about yet? Oh, Megu Bum is on here for a reason. Because, like, this is basically him the entire series. Just a shocked face. Worthless. Mahoraga accomplished more than him. That Eye of the Storm quote doesn't make sense because it comes right after he says he doesn't care about Yuji just before that, then says Yuji is relevant for the new era. It just, I don't know what the hell Kenjaku was yapping about at some points. Like, I'll have to look it up. I'll just see if someone's dissected this and see what they had to say, because like maybe somebody had a good take. Let's see, Eye of the Storm, Yuji, Jujutsu Kaisen. Because like occasionally... Okay, this is pretty funny because people are talking about his eyes when they change. Like, oh, he literally has the Eye of the Storm. Okay, so there's jack shit is all I'm hearing. Yeah, his eye changed, and now he's the Eye of the Storm. Very, very interesting. Kenjaku feels like the Age of Ultron. Yeah, Age of All 2 Days. The Nothing Dynasty. The Nothing Dynasty goes hard. Okay, that, like if I had to call my dynasty something, the Emptiness Dynasty. That sounds like something pretty anime. I mean, maybe not quality anime, but definitely anime. It's like Gege stopped talking to the Chainsaw Man author and started talking to the Fairy Tail author, and they not have any consequences for it. To not have any consequences or anyone die for a finish. Yeah, that sounds about right, Liquid Adam. That's a pretty interesting way to put it. He just swapped who he was getting advice from. Or was Gege referring to the Shinjuku Showdown with this? Well, even if he was referring to the Shinjuku Showdown, calling Yuji the Eye of the Storm for a new era, it just makes it sound like his plans for both these characters were massive, and I'll pull them up on the screen. Extra large. So to emphasize. It's just, like, Yuji and Sukuna were so intrinsically linked, but it just turns out all these guys were ever going to do is, like, fight. And Yuji was his nephew, but it just doesn't feel like Yuji is that important in the grand scheme. Like, yes, he has Sukuna-level talent. That's what they tell us. And yes, he is the one who Black Flashes Sukuna in the end, and he gets his domain expansion. But this makes it feel like it's this, like, never-ending loop of these two fighting each other, and like they're fundamentally connected, which they are, but just not in a way that really turned out to be as important as we all thought it was going to be. And I think you could say that for a lot of things in Jujutsu Kaisen. After Shinjuku Showdown, a new era was born, but no Kenny, Sukuna, and Tengen now. Yeah. That is true. Like, we didn't even get the whole thing with, like, oh, you're my friend, Tengen. That's what Kenjaku says. Barely get that elaborated on either. You know, I look at Megumi and wonder if this is how disappointed parents feel. I mean, I just asked my dad if he what a disappointed parent feels like. Just kidding. So I like that little self-roast like peppering. Oh yeah, the Yuji having Sukuna eyes led to nothing either. Well, I think it's just part of his technique. My will lives on par with nah, I'd win in calf now. I'm disappointed in all the Curse Realm stuff, and Kenjaku just casually walking in and out of it. Then when he dies, giving us the perfect explanation of it, plus his return, then nada. Yeah. I agree. Zebek says Sukuna being called the Fallen. Yeah, they just give him like all these hardcore titles, and then they just sort of expand on them at all. And Tostada says, in hindsight, Yuji's importance solely hinges on him having sold his mantle, to be honest. Yeah, unfortunately true. And what's up, Tostado? It's been a while. It's been a minute. Let's see here. The new era just began in chapter 271 through chapter 271. It was actually following an MC called Sukuna discovering love and changing his ways. You know, if we want to talk about Sukuna, I think Sukuna has like one of the only arcs in this series that actually makes any fucking sense, which is hilarious. Hilarious to say, or I should say he's one of the only people that had an arc that actually concluded. Because a lot of characters feel like Gege was just like, okay, they did X thing and now they're all done. Like Angel's character, or I should say Hana's character traits are likes Megumi, and the story ends and she's like, oh man, I guess Megumi likes me. Talk about a wasted character. I guess want to talk about Angel. Big chillin', just work. I feel that, man. I feel that. Slick Evan says, I am my favorite person who talks about JJK. Wow, I appreciate that. Kind words, Slick Evan. Kind words. Who is Angel's god? Okay, that's actually easier to answer, because I think Angel just follows like the tenets of Buddhism and reincarnation. Or maybe like a composite. But she just says that God is the name she gives for the... Hold on, let me pull it up here. Maybe not on the stream. Let me just double check to make sure. This was like chapter 200, I think, that she said this. Yeah, here. She's talking about her beliefs, and she says, like, oh, he goes against, like, the fundamental laws of God, and she says that's the name she gives to her beliefs. And in this sense, the way Sukuna's doing it is by becoming a cursed object. And in Buddhism, like, the whole point of reincarnating is so you can find samsara, or like find enlightenment, and like you try every single time you die, you reincarnate, you try again, and you do this over and over and over until you finally get to, like, you know, the prime time lifetime where you reach enlightenment and you give up earthly desires and you can reach nirvana. And a character like Sukuna, who is constantly struggling to stay alive, and we even see it at the very end in chapter 271, where he's like, oh man, just leave it all to me, and he's afraid to die. These guys are holding on to something they shouldn't be, and that's why Angel is so against it. That's my interpretation. Why did Gege call Sukuna a demon? Sukuna is kind of like shaped after an Asura from Buddhism, with the four arms. I believe it's an Asura. They're kind of like, they're like souls that went to hell, kind of, if I remember correctly. And they have four arms and they eat people. Or they eat people in some interpretations. Yeah, the Asura are a class... Oh, sorry, excuse me, the Asura are a class of beings in Indian religions that are often described as power-seeking in opposition to the Devas or gods. So, in the sense of, like, calling Yuji or Sukuna a demon, or I guess Sukuna in this point in particular... let me just double-check to make sure I'm not just spouting nonsense here. Yeah, so... An Asura is kind of like they're going against God. And they're going against the cycle. And that's kind of what Sukuna's doing. What does an imaginary god mean? Gege, tell us. Oh, that one's actually pretty simple, Yugi. That is, they're talking about him being an imaginary god because Sukuna is not literally a god. Like, he's talking about Ryomen Sukuna, the historical figure. Because Sukuna's a real historical figure. Like, we can even pull up. You just look up Ryomen Sukuna. It's a real mythological figure. But what Gojo is saying at that point in time is that Sukuna's like a mythical god that like did this and this, but he's actually a person because he's explaining to Yuji that like Sukuna's a real guy. That's the big thing. They also called Maki a demon. I think that's just like an adjective, just a descriptor for her. I don't think there's like a huge connotation over that. Tostado says, while I know a lot of people saying Yuji's domain expansion sure hit is Soul Dismantle, I think it's a huge fumble to never get an explanation or some sort of naming, even in the epilogue. Yeah, not having a name for the main character's domain expansion is crazy. I think Gege Akutami might have just gotten like lazy in how he wanted to name it. We might get something on it eventually, but maybe the anime will. God, like there's one thing the anime should add, okay? It's a name for Yuji's domain expansion. If we can get Hanami's domain expansion in a mobile game, we can get Yuji's domain expansion in the official anime. I think that's pretty fair. I don't think that's asking for too much. Angel's technique is insane. Imagine if Sukuna had it instead. I am curious like what the upper echelon of Angel's technique would look like if he used it. Sukuna getting resurrected leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Man kills a shit ton of people, and it's just like, you know what? Maybe this ice is what I needed all the time. Yeah, but my thing with the thing with Sukuna dying is that he's finally accepting what we've pretty much always seen from him. I'm trying to gather my thoughts on this because this is a huge statement. Here, let me pull up something that'll make it a little more. I have an image right here somewhere. Sukuna, like, it's not a character shift for Sukuna there. Like, it's who he's always been. And there's little hints that he's just a bitter man the entire series. And the whole thing in Buddhism and the whole thing with like why they keep harking on the fact that he is holding on to life is that he's not like Sukuna, Ryomen Sukuna, the man we see, is never going to find redemption in this current life. Here, let's pull this up. Because he says, let me assure you, love is worthless, because he's lying to himself. And this is like a great quote from the manga of him, and like this tells us everything we need to know about Sukuna. That he says, and like the quote after this is not for verbatim, is something along the lines of, like, that's all people are, like, slurping up people is the perfect way to pass the time until I die. Because this guy has nothing to live for, basically. He says he's living to his own rules, but he's really not. Like, he's horribly bitter. He was treated like trash. He hates the world. He takes it out on everybody. He's a terrible person. Like, he was treated like shit, but he is a terrible person. And he's never going to find redemption in this life. He's horribly bitter. We see the same thing when he talks to Kashimo, where, like, Kashimo asks him, like, what is strength to you? And he tells Kashimo, like, oh, you're so greedy. I have no idea. I was just an unwanted wretch. Or, you know, a creepy kid, if you read the shit version of the translation. So when he tells everybody that, like, we kind of get an idea of who this guy is. And even when we see him talk to Yuji in Chapter 214, he's, like, actually offended at the idea that other people could live a life with value while not being powerful. Because the only way Sukuna was valued in the world, the only thing that ever granted Sukuna a place of any usefulness to either him or other people in his mind, not like in reality, because he could have been a good person, was his strength. And that's why that's the only thing he recognizes. But, like, once he dies, you know, he can mellow out for once. And then we see him talk to Mahito, and Mahito's like, oh, what, you were bitter the whole time. Why are you growing soft? And the big thing there for me, and I mentioned this in my final chapter review, is that Mahito is a curse. And Sukuna at the end of the day is just a man. Even though they call him the King of Curses, he can actually find redemption. Meanwhile, Mahito is going to be like a little rodent on Earth forever, every time he reincarnates. That's my take on that. Hopefully that makes some sense. So that's off rip. He's the angry uncle jealous of his nephew, basically. Like, you really cut and dry of it. He never came off as bitter to me, just apathetic. It is a little rare, but he's definitely bitter. He admits as much in the final chapter. But let's pull up chapter 214 just to highlight it. Like, he's legitimately offended when Yuji says that, let's pull this up. Where are you? This is a great chapter. Chapter 214. If you haven't read the series Jujutsu Kaisen, check out chapter 214, or maybe the whole thing. And you'll probably like the scene in chapter 214 where he says this. When I pull it up here, this is me stalling. I don't know who the hell would ever be in here who hasn't read Jujutsu Kaisen. But let's pull it out. Is this it? I should really name these better things, huh? Very unprofessional. That, like, I'll save something in my folder and then I'll lose it immediately. Did I save the wrong panel? Okay. There it is. Finally. Perfect. Boom. Ahem. Let's read what Sukuna says here. And just to give an idea, this is right after Megumi, not Megumi, Yuji says, "Why can't you just live without causing suffering?" And Sukuna's like legitimately offended, and he says, "How can a creature that falls apart at a touch say that it is allowed? Say that it always wants to be happy?" And Yuji's like, right, these guys are and will always be. He's wrong here, by the way, because he's talking about curses, which Sukuna is not. Which is why his entire attitude changes at the end. But he says, the helpless have no choice but to swallow the suffering life gives to them. And the reason he says this is because Sukuna himself was the helpless, and he had to swallow all the garbage. And that's why when he got strong, he got pissed off, and he started killing people. Because he's not exactly a good guy. But Jujutsu Kaisen, never heard of it. I know, crazy. Crazy series. Sorry, guys. My voice is dying here, even with the water, so maybe I didn't read that off properly, but you get the idea. And then Yuji's like, oh, your curses. Which he's incorrect on. And he changes his mind at the end. When he says, like, oh, Sukuna, you are me. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Hello, all. This is my first day on the internet. What is Jujutsu Kaisen? It's a story about an old man fighting with his nephew. And then a blue-eyed K-pop star comes in and punks him temporarily. Quirkless, what are the top five worst CTs? Because I think body hopping, we don't even have a name for it, has got to be down there. The average sorcerer would just die without getting a chance to use it. He's not wrong. Sukuna's a curse to the world. A curse here is a polysemous word. Am I even pronouncing that properly? How dare you use such unknown vocabulary to me? No, I've heard this before. Let's add that to the list. A brain upgrade. Brain upgrade. This was permanently add that one. No, he's not literally wrong. But what I mean here when he talks about a curse is that he's comparing him to someone like Mahito. When I say he's wrong. A blue-eyed K-pop star, yeah. But what I'm saying here when I say that he is wrong is that he's comparing him to Mahito. That's why he says these guys. But like Mahito is fundamentally awful no matter what. Sukuna doesn't have to be. And that's why he tells Sukuna at the end of the story that... Oh, let me just read it here. He tells Sukuna at the end of the story that we can try again. If nobody else wants to live alongside you, I had my grandpa. You can have me. Let's try it. And Sukuna's like, nah, punk. I'm Blob Kuna. I don't fuck with none of that. But you are correct that like curse can also just mean like you're just you're trash for the world. Bro converted to Buddhism because of Sukuna. True. That's how it happens. A blue-eyed K-pop star is a good description for Gojo. It is. I mean, he looks like he's straight out of K-pop. Yeah, Mahito can never be anything else. A human can always be different. Now, that's like the main takeaway, and like that, I think that's the point they keep bringing like attention to the fact that he's a curse. Is that Mahito, like Sukuna calls himself, "I'm the king of curses," but like his type of curse is not like fundamental to nature. He's just a piece of shit. Meanwhile, Mahito is just bad because that's what he's born to do. He's a curse. He's a literal curse spirit. He is from negative human emotions, but Sukuna is just, you know, he's Sukuna, an abused kid, most likely. Didn't have Yuji's grandpa. What's Mahito's power ceiling? Nowhere near Shinjuku. Or do you mean his overall potential? Because his potential is pretty high. Because he was only like 2 months old when he died. How the fuck did I not know this? I'm actually upset with my mind here. My vocabulary was lacking. How? Excuse me. One moment. Sorry, guys. You know what they say? Fool for a day rather than a fool for a lifetime. Interesting. Anyways, moving on. If you turn Mahito into a Shigami, could he become a good boy? No. He's permanently stuck being trash. Wasn't it kind of implied at the beginning of JJK the cursed spirits were killing humans to defend the planet? They were killing humans to defend the planet. No, I think it's more so. I don't remember that exact thing with cursed spirits. I think I kind of know what you're talking about, Grape. You have to tell me the chapter to look up. So look it up right now if you want. I don't remember exactly where that was though. I had to leave. What are we talking about? We're talking about why Sukuna sucks, but he doesn't have to be but like not in the same way a cursed spirit sucks. Sukuna low-key a victim of circumstance. He did nothing wrong. True. Except for all those terrible things he did. Like, he's a victim of circumstance until he starts making other people victims. You feel me? Like, literal victims. Not just like, oh, you're my emotional victim. Like, I'm actually just gonna chop you in half. Hanami could be argued to be doing that. Maybe. But, like, she's, like, also... She's more like Captain Planet. Or, I should say he is more like Captain Planet. I always think Hanami's a girl for some reason. We just ignore those. Yeah, we ignore all the Sukuna murders. If Yuji was right when he calls him a curse, it would have been a black box. But it wasn't because Sukuna is Ankh equals shouts back in my day. As it equals Ankh who shouts back in my day. Dude, I'm Ankh who shouts back in my day. Sukuna is the epitome of, aw, that's so sad, still a serial killer. Yeah, pretty much. That's why it was pretty funny to me when people said that Sukuna was going to turn good at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen, but I'm like, no, he's not going to turn good. Like, he might get a redemption, but, like, definitely not in this life. Like, he's a sack of shit. Pardon my French. He bad. He's what we call not good. He's of the mid variety, if you will. I would not call him of, he's not exactly... He's trash tier. Not in power, but definitely in personality. Well, actually, he's pretty funny sometimes, but like he's definitely trash tier in terms of action. You feel me? You get what I'm spitting? Evil Captain Planet. Yeah, Hanami is just evil Captain Planet. I'm surprised Hanami didn't do better against Gojo and Shibuya. It was already shown the flowers could take him off guard since Infinity doesn't stop gaseous things. I think it does. I think that was like a younger Gojo that said that. Also, it's funny you bring this up because hold on, let me pull up the classic. What chapter was that in? Anybody know what chapter in Hidden Inventory that Gojo created the automatic RCT? It's like chapter 70 something or 80. No, it's like chapter 70 something, definitely. Chapter 77, I think. If you scroll down, when he gets the automatic RCT. No, this is just when he's bumming it with Yuki, dude. Yuki actually just showed up to make Geto's life worse. On accident. Give him the worst advice. Yeah, here it is. Let's pull this up. So it was Jaded who brought this up to me. Now, I haven't fact-checked him, but I usually trust him because he doesn't really... When it comes to stuff like this, he usually doesn't fail me. In fact, by usually, I say he's never failed me. Where is it? So, when we look at... Here. Boom. Let me just get a little thing. So... when I first looked at this, you know, I'm not a biology or neurology major. I assume that this was to represent the poison he was talking about. But from what I've heard, this may be representing serotonin or something similar. And that's why Gojo's high all the time. So it's not that Gojo can't necessarily, I just thought it was like a little neat fun fact. It was Jay who brought this up to me. Just to make sure I credit the right person. That this is supposed to represent serotonin, or something similar. Like I think he may have found something else, but it would explain if Gojo is using RCT to make himself high all the time, off serotonin in his brain, or like, you know, using the RCT to make his brain pop. That explains why Toji's like, oh man, is he high? Is he delirious? And like that also explains Gojo's like whole chipper attitude. So I just thought that was kind of neat. Because I always thought this was just him talking about the poison. Anyways, little fun fact. Yuki is a bum sorcerer, a bum friend with bum-ass advice, but she's still easily top 2 in JJK, and good chance she isn't too. I mean, she has a top 2 attack. I don't know, she herself is definitely not top 2. Why are you on my front page? I don't care about JJK or watch your vids before. Because YouTube knows. It knows, like, it's bringing you in. Gojo definitely smoked a pack at least once. Also, I've definitely seen you in here before, Wes. That's a lie. Gojo definitely smoked a pack at least once. Or 4, or 5. Or 7. Yeah, he may be a little bit of an addict. Alright. So, final thing I'm going to talk in this stream about. YouTube knows what you need. Exactly. JJK content's coming back, guys. We're going to make it happen. Collectively. And not just power scaling, guys. Story dissections. Because there's still... People still like to talk about JJK. Like, let's be real. JJK is one of the most influential anime manga in Shonen Jump's history. Like, it was one of the top... It was the top 5. Like, Twitter leaks for top 5 of all Twitter traffic. It's hard to beat that in popularity. He had Andrew Tate talking to Miyamura. I mean, granted, I don't think Miyamura wanted to talk to Andrew Tate, but that did happen. He did message him. I'm just ready for Season 3. Oh, yeah. I will definitely be covering Season 3 this time. I kind of skipped over Season 2 because the manga was going on. I was a little busy. And I also just like talking about the manga. But now that the manga's all wrapped up, Season 3 is coming. I'm hyped for it, personally. I thought that the poison panel was how Gojo would die. Yeah, I thought there was going to be poison or something from that panel, but no. No, there's no poison. I meant Tattoo Girls, but I fumbled the sentence. I mean, maybe, yeah. Yuki's pretty cool. I can agree with that. Top 2 female characters. As much as I disliked a lot of the stuff with the ending, I really love JJK. Yeah. I do too. Like, it's hard not to. There's a lot of good stuff in JJK. Even if the ending was subpar, it does kind of suck because when JJK ended, people were naturally pissed off, as they should be, like rightfully. It was not good, and I hate the gaslighting, and maybe I'm partially responsible for it because I'm less inclined to get pissed off over a series ending because I've been burned before. I've been through this quite a few times with many series that I don't get as upset now when something just fumbles the end. But there was a lot of gaslighting of people saying like, oh, this was perfect. Oh, it was good no matter what. 04 Vision. That feeling of donating $5. Thank you very much. That feeling of tuning into no operator streams, then watching chapter reviews from you, Fake Weeb, and Zonin will never be replicated again. I get nostalgic about it too, man. I really do. And, you know, a lot of people say, like, YouTubers are all a bunch of, like, little corporate gremlin creatures. But, like, I can tell you, we get into arguments about power scaling offline all the time. Like, it has nothing to do. Like, it's not just content grind for people. Like, everyone in this space is passionate. I can tell you that. Maybe you don't have to believe me. But I get nostalgic about that entire time period. And I haven't heard from Fake Weeb in a while. But I really hope he comes back to make content because I will, if he actually gets back on Discord for once, or Twitter, or his channel, because he's actually, like, gone AWOL. I don't know where he is, and, like, it's not like him to do that. Maybe I'll send him an email, but I doubt he checks that either. I think he'd be great to come back, personally. And I loved making all those collaborations with everybody. I loved making all those streams with no operator. I loved the whole feeling of having this community that was so excited to make content. And I'm starting to feel that again because we did actually get all the creators together with Alonz, Eternal Flame, Jaded, and a bunch of new people. Like we kind of, and Six, we all like gathered up everybody after, like, because we had a live stream a while back. I'm just gonna go into the lore for this. So, like, Jaded had a live stream, and we have like a private, we had a Discord for this already where we just talk to each other sometimes. And we're like, oh, why don't we just turn this into, like, a creators thing where we can all just have all the JJK content creators and, like, the DBZ power scalers and stuff like that come in, and we have, like, a place where we can share ideas and talk about what people want to see. And that's why JJK is starting to come back on YouTube a bit. Like, I'm sure you've seen Alonz has been popping out videos recently because he messaged me, and I've always liked hanging out with these guys. Like, I get a lot of enjoyment from just talking about series with people. So they pulled me back to do YouTube because I was working on some other stuff. But it's coming back, guys. Or at least we're gonna be making content for it again because I've been more motivated than ever to work on YouTube content. Because once you get into a creative space, and I'll say this for anything you guys want to do in life, if you're trying to do anything creative, if you're trying to get into any hobby, find other people that are interested in the same thing you're doing. And you will be more interested, or you will be more inclined to finish what you've started, or work harder at your chosen hobby. Like, that's true for exercise. That's true for games. That's true for, like, for schoolwork. Just find people around you who will motivate you. I know it's pretty simple advice, but, like, YouTube is the same, and they did a great job at pulling everyone back together. And I've been having more fun talking about JJK than I have in months. Because I'll be honest, towards the end of JJK, personal events aside, I was just not feeling the story as much. I felt like a lot of our group chats were dead. Fake Weeb was heading off. He made a post. He's heading off to college. He stopped making spoilers. No Operator and I are like the last two people really collabing at that time period. Alonz and I did a stream about 10 months ago. But it just felt like people were a little more upset towards the end of JJK. Or at least like a little bit more apathetic. Because I feel like a lot of content creators have been like, oh, we don't know what's next. We don't know what comes after. We don't know what people are interested in. But I don't feel that way anymore. So we're back. We're making content. So sorry for the wait, guys. I know some of you have been here for a while, for a long while. Should invite Kusakabe. He brings a lot of personality. Well, yeah, I wish we had Kusakabe. Or you mean, is there a YouTuber named Kusakabe? I had to drop CSM Part 2. It's just not doing it for me. I still like CSM Part 2. I don't think it's like, I actually like it more in Part 1, but it's very slow. Like, not a ton happens in every chapter. Let's see. I think a lot of it comes from the abruptness and how hard people were blindsided with the ending announcement. Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I was going to be making some chapter reviews for that. And then I saw like 5 chapters left. I'm like, do people even care at this point? And like, obviously they do. Obviously they do. But that 5 chapters left announcement, that was like a nail. Just a giant nail hammered into my chest. So like, that's when you know, guaranteed, JJK's ending is going to be mid. Which sucks. I love all JJK content except for hardcore power scaling. And, you know, that's the beauty of content creation, is that there's always something for like, you know, some people cover story stuff, some people cover characters, some people cover power scaling. Power scaling has always been very popular on YouTube. I feel like part of that's just because people love to argue. And JJK content creation, in particular, power scaling is not that toxic. You emitted Alpha Skibbity Sigma Riz Aura for that speech. I don't know what that is, but it sounds potentially okay. I think the problem is that most people took the criticism as people just saying the series is bad or something. The criticisms were valid. The way Gege was edging people for nothing, true. Like, I do think the criticisms were valid, and there was a lot of gaslighting. There was definitely a lot of gaslighting among Twitter in particular, of saying like, oh, this is peak. Yeah, a lot of the people in our Discord were already talking about what to do after it ends, and no one that got started on JJK had a real backup plan for that. You know, it's one of those things, like, you know, JJK was never going to be, like, incredibly popular, like, at the peak of popularity forever, and that's fine. You know, JJK was always going to fall off. That's just how it is. That's the nature of anything popular, any popular series, piece of media. But it is unfortunate because I had a lot of friends that no longer make content, and I can't really get in contact with. That's the bummer part for me. Because Kyo Breeze is gone. I haven't heard from him in months either. Just like vanished. Took a quantum leap. It's hard to criticize when you can just use the "it's his story" argument to everything bad. Yeah, that's not a real argument though. That's just cope. Just saying it's his story. Like, yeah, his story is fumbling. I enjoy power scaling to a point, but there is a fine line where it goes from fun to, like, this is a bit much. I think it's when people start getting into, like, a feels bad. When people start getting into, like, it's okay to disagree with somebody, but some people will start using ad hominems and trying to make you feel like shit because you're wrong about something. And you can be wrong about power scaling. And I've admitted to being wrong before many times because, quite frankly, I just don't give a shit enough to, like, not just capitulate to solid information. Like, if you convince me, I try to be reasonable. That's the biggest thing. He lost his channel, so it'd be hard to make a comeback. I don't think Kyo Breeze is still around. He definitely is. He still even has channel members. So yeah, he's around. He hasn't made a video in a month. He's made a video more recently than me. Yeah, I'm generally more upset with the mismanagement of the ending announcement than I am about the ending. Yeah, that was like just out of nowhere. Also, Plank, you're in that Discord. As a matter of fact, you argue for Kenjaku all the time. You could always, like, no one's gonna say no if you hop on to the voice chat. Like, we wouldn't have you in there otherwise. Just so you know. Because like we have the two channels. I'm just saying this here. We have the two channels. There's the one for talking, the one for streaming. So like if we're in like the talking channel, which usually there's like 5 people in there, you can always come in. I'm just letting you know. I knew that they said 5 chapters left at where we were at in the story. That it was going to be a lackluster story-wise. Yeah, definitely. Power scaling is fun until people stop laughing and start screaming. Okay, there was... Okay, you want to know what the peak of... the absolute peak of toxicity and power scaling was? I believe it was either DBZ or Naruto where somebody got into a car crash. Now, while it was kind of hilarious... Only not because he crashed his car, but because when he crashed his car, his opponent said, "Is this concession by death?" So that's where we're at with power scaling sometimes. We're like, anything for the W. Like, they just hear him crash his car on his phone. Which, like, in a vacuum, it's kind of funny. Like, obviously you're worried about the person. Like, it's funny since he is obviously okay. But that did happen. There's a video of it too. Goku versus anyone. Yeah, pretty much. I know Ty Learned was telling me about all of his... Somebody was saying he got, like... They made, like, an entire 20-minute debunked video on him where, like, the guy's, like, sneezing into his own microphone. It's a beautiful thing. Unlike you guys, I can't afford to fail in my pursuits because the entire agenda hinges on my back. So when I enter that call, I will have to be able to convince God that sinking is good. Well, maybe you could. I mean, you'll probably never convince Jaded, but you could probably convince other people. I'm you know, I don't dislike Kenny. I don't hate him. Here, let's see. That's a good way to put it, Plank. I should put that. We're gonna put that in the scrapbook, maybe. Wait, who gifted? I will say, sorry guys, I'm just getting tired here if you can't tell. Did I miss anything here? I don't think so. You guys gave a lot of memberships today. Jay just messaged me that he got one. He must have been lurking in this chat. Thank you guys so much, honestly. You know, I had been streaming for like 5 months. I had a couple streams up until this point, but like I didn't leave them up that much because they were just more random chilling and they weren't talking about the story. But the fact that you guys are still here, the fact that people are still talking about JJK after all this time, that makes me happy. Because, you know, who wants to talk about a series that everyone's like, this sucks? But I will probably still, like, end the stream here because I'm a little exhausted. It's evening time for me. I probably go out for a bit. But I will be making a video this week, I assure you. Alright, so that's a quirkless promise, a quirkless guarantee. Thank you guys all for showing up. Thanks for keeping me company, and thank you for all the support today and in the past like 2 years, because we're approaching 2 years on this channel for making JJK content.